Hey everyone, this month we've been talking about getting out of a funk. If you feel like you're in a stuck place, you feel like you can't get momentum, can't move forward. The last 3 weeks we've talked about things to do that can move us out of that space. But today we're going to talk about what not to do. We've been talking about what to do, but today we're going to talk about 4 C's to avoid. What do you think they are? Go ahead, type them out there. What do you think they are? You probably have a good idea already. You may have some C's that we also need to avoid that we're not going to talk about today. But these 4 C's are really emotional cancers. When we participate in them, they guarantee that we're going to get stuck. They guarantee that we're going to end up in this place we do not want to be. So the first one is comparing. I'll never be that smart. I'll never be that successful. Or the opposite, comparing, at least I'm not that bad, right? Either way, we're comparing. Either way, someone is less than, right? No matter which way we're comparing. And it bogs us down in this place of picking apart the flaws, whether they're my flaws or your flaws. This place of making sure everyone is measured up. And it begins to train our brain to be in that space, that less than space. So what if we instead asked, how are we alike? What if we started looking for that instead of the comparisons? What if we started looking for, how can I learn from them? We can learn new ideas, new structures, new routines, new techniques from people if we're looking for it, if we're taking ourselves out of that comparing space and looking for something different. So 1 C to avoid, comparing. Another C to avoid, complaining. I know this one doesn't surprise you, but here's the interesting thing about this. The stress caused by complaining can have a lasting negative impact on our brain. Studies have shown that even a few days of this kind of stress, the stress that comes from complaining, damages the neurons in our hippocampus. That's where you do the problem solving and the cognitive functioning stuff. So it impairs the ability, also this stress impairs the ability to create new neurons, which is what we're trying to always do. So in other words, let's get out of the science speak. In other words, when we complain, our body releases the stress hormone cortisol, which impairs our immune system, opens us up to diseases, and on top of all that, we rewire our brain toward negativity. If we're trying to get out of a funk, we don't really want all that, right? So we avoid comparing, avoid complaining. The third one, let me go back to complaining. The antidote. Y'all heard this 1,000 times. The antidote to complaining is practice gratitude, right? Practice gratitude. Find all the different ways, try all the different things to practice gratitude. The third C, criticism. Criticizing. When we're already in this bad headspace, that's another thing to avoid because it's like a virus. It can overtake us. Criticism has probably never brought change. Have you ever seen a moment where you got criticized and decided to change, or someone else got criticized and decided to change? Normally it brings anger, defensiveness, frustration. It impedes relationships. It hamstrings us instead of moving us forward. So criticism, the studies have shown, makes a bigger impact on our brain than positive feedback. I think that's why we had, for a while, I don't remember what the statistics were, but it was something like 1 negative wipes out 5 positive moments of feedback. Something like that. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, in our brain, what happens is the critical words, whatever that word is, it gets translated in our brain to a threat. We literally feel threatened. It's just words, it's just critical words, but our brain takes it as a threat, kind of the flight or fight, freeze reaction. And then there's hard work. The brain has to work really hard to process all this, the criticism. And that's all it can do. It can't be focused on anything else. So let's avoid criticism. Let's avoid comparing, complaining, criticism. That's criticism of others, criticism of ourselves, or even just being in a critical environment. And then the 4th C to avoid is complacency. Man, if we're upset about our situation, but we refuse to work to improve it, then we're stuck, right? And it's all about us. It's a choice we made. What's the phrase? Doing the same thing the same way, but expecting different results is the definition of insanity. It's just not going to work. So take some kind of action. Don't be complacent. So those 4 C's: comparing, complaining, criticizing, and complacency. If you will avoid those 4 things, you're going to get some momentum. You're going to move forward. You're not going to be stuck in this funk anymore. Go back and find the other videos that talk about what you can do to move forward. I'm Michelle Gooch with Life by Design. I am here Wednesdays at 1. Join us in the future. And I love to help people move forward. Help you get clarity in the middle of confusion. Help you transition in the middle of some kind of change well. If that's something you're looking for, you can find me at lifebydesign.guru. lifebydesign.guru. See you next week.